I hope what viewers take away from the story is that in the end, everyone owns their own narrative, and trying to steal someone else's life story is a kind of incursion. It's, that we all own our own stories and no one else should be trying to define who we are.
Luckily, I read a review in the New York Times 5 years ago that Stephen King wrote on the book that had just come out, and I really took to it. And as I read it, I really thought I saw one person in mind, and it was Natalie Portman to play Maddie. And my late partner and I were able to get her infected with the same kind of enthusiasm that we had for the project. And from there, it was who was going to become the filmmaker, and we had one wish for that, and that was Alma Har'el, and luckily she said yes.
I was so excited to work with Alma Har'el, and I've admired her work so much, and she just exceeded every expectation I dreamed of. And also this story of two women trying to liberate themselves, tell their own story was so compelling, and to get to work with Moses Ingram was amazing. I think that there's so much incredible atmosphere. You've got the music and the fashion of the 60s, and the production design is just gorgeous. And then you've got these two really ferocious women leading these extraordinary lives.
The minute I heard about it and that Natalie Portman was attached to it, I just had to read the book, obviously. And then when I read it, I just couldn't let it go. And there's just something about this that is a combination of so many things that are, on my mind, I guess, and a way of telling a story in a new way that involves murder and mystery and twists and turns, but it's really about people.
Well, it's beautiful to see a woman on such a complicated ride. I think one thing I really hope that people walk away with from this experience is to have a little more grace. I think if we looked at Cleo on paper, we'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe she did all of these things, but people make these decisions for a reason when they're forced to. And so I hope people remember that.
The show has everything. I mean, it's got a murder mystery at the center of it, but it's also got all these socioeconomic and cultural observations about the black community and the Jewish community of Baltimore in the 1960s. Unbelievable performances from Natalie Portman and Moses, and I'm in it. So what else do you have to know?
My character is Dora Carter, and she's Cleo Johnson, Moses Ingram's best friend, and it's like watching something warm, like friendship for like that stretch of time, sisterhood. I'm just ready to, it's so beautiful.
To be completely honest, all I really needed was a call from Alma asking me to do the project, and I was in. But that being said, I got the added bonus of reading the fantastic script and also getting a very complicated character because, Seth he's not the nicest of people. He's not the most morally agreeable, but I think those are the most interesting characters to play, and they're the most fun to play because they're complicated,
A little bit about my character, Reggie, man. He's the guy that moves the chess pieces around. He's the one that is the connective tissue to this interwoven group of people. And he's behind the scenes of everyone. He's behind the scenes with Maddie, he's behind the scenes with Michelle and Cleo. And he himself is a pawn in this entire cog. And I think his loyalty is what gets him in trouble.
I think the biggest thing about the script in of itself was that Ferdy's a man who wasn't willing to compromise. And that's an admirable quality that, I'm always going to be appreciative of, and I found it really intriguing to play.
I think it's full of surprises. It's beautifully shot. Alma's a visionary, and Natalie's incredible. It's an incredible ensemble cast as well, so a lot of beautiful performances.
I think the first thing that appealed to me were the people working on it. Natalie and Alma are two people that I've wanted to work with. And then beyond that, the character just really interested me. I think it's always fascinating when there's a character that there's a lot under the surface and there's something that you can dig into. So I think that's really exciting when there's a lot to discover.
Wallace himself shares a history with Natalie and is somebody who has a position, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but somebody who has a job that she might have had if she weren't a Jewish woman growing up in Baltimore in the 60s. And I get to play this sort of dichotomy of his public-facing reporter appearance and, of course, the truth behind that.
I consulted, produced on this, so I was able to put some of my life into this character as a stand-up comedian. And I think it shows a part of a comedian's life that we really don't see. Some of the darkness that adds to the funny. And it was during a very important part of time that birthed the comedians that I look up to, like the George Carlins, the Richard Pryors, and the Lenny Bruce, when people wanted to discover their voice and tell their truth.
I think it was very well written. It was just a really cool vibe of the script. And then my character is so innocent, and yet she knows what she wants, and just she knows how to get it.